Hi, so for chapter 1, the first skill that I think a teacher leader needs to possess would be problem solving. I feel like problem solving is embedded in like everything that we do. For example, classroom management. You're going to have behavior issues arise and finding ways to address those issues effectively. And of course, that's going to differ for every class, for every student. So of course, problem solving is very important there. Technology, that's happened to me a lot. When your technology fails and your lesson is centered around technology, you've got to problem solve. Lessons go wrong. Sometimes you feel like you have a super cool idea and it's not at all super cool. And so you have to, change it in the middle of that lesson, revamp it for the next period. Also, problem solving when you're looking at data, whether it be benchmarks or formative assessments or summative assessments, and you've got to problem solve. And like I said, every kid, every class is different, so every solution to that problem won't be the same. Differentiation. When you have kids that are not getting it, you've got to problem solve. You've got to find a way to reach that child. In my gifted classes, I have several students that are twice exceptional, or I have students that are not gifted in everything. Like language arts is not, the area in which they're gifted in, and so they struggle, so I have to problem solve. Also, conflicts with students, you have to problem solve. Misunderstandings with parents. And another thing that really stands out to me would be navigating the constant change in education. So, for example, this year ELA got new standards, and that's been quite the challenge. I've been teaching the same standards for several years now. I got comfortable. I knew them inside and out, and I'm having to, in a lot of ways, relearn everything. So I'm having to problem solve. Let's see. I would say that the second skill that a teacher leader needs to possess would be collaboration. I feel as if we are better together versus singletons. When we collaborate with our colleagues, we're able to share insights and ideas with each other. I know that there are areas that I am very strong in, and there are areas that my colleagues they're also, strong in. And so we bounce ideas off of each other. I have weaknesses, they have weaknesses. And so when we collaborate, we're able to learn and grow together. I don't think teaching is not something that was ever designed, I don't think, to be something that you do alone. It's hard, and we need each other. I love when we get together and collaborate in our PLTs and we look at our data and we come up with a plan for remediation. We come up with a plan for acceleration to make sure that every single student is getting what they need. I love that collaboration holds us accountable. It ensures that expectations are met, guidelines are met. Interventions are consistent, across classrooms, across grade levels and departments. I feel like when we are able to collaborate well and effectively, that has a direct correlation to school culture. I believe it helps to improve a school culture. And like I said, teaching is a shared responsibility, and it's not something that we should do alone. It's something that we should always do together. For the next question, what are the top 2 leadership dispositions that a teacher leader needs to possess? The first one I would say is driven. It is so easy to get complacent. We get tired. Things get really hard, and it's much easier to, just take a back seat. But that's when you have to dig deep. You have to have like that intrinsic motivation to keep pushing, even when things are hard, even when you're tired, even when you have personal things going on in your life, and keeping those personal things from bleeding into your work. And so a driven teacher never settles for good enough. They are constantly pushing themselves. They're constantly learning. They're constantly wanting constructive feedback so that they learn and grow as a teacher. Driven teachers want to be the absolute best that they can be. They want to reach every student. And that determination, in my opinion, directly impacts how much students grow academically and personally and socially and really in almost every way possible. You're going to face challenges, and if you're not driven, it's just so easy to give up. And but driven individuals learn to adapt and overcome and keep pushing forward, keep working towards the goal. I would say that driven teachers, they never stop learning. They want to be the most effective that they can be. And that's really how I feel. We're working with people's children. They're entrusting us with them. And so I never want to slack. I always want to do right by them. And once again, I feel like, teachers that are driven, it's contagious, and I believe it really helps to foster a positive school culture. All right, so that next disposition, is I think teachers need to be supportive. I feel like when we're supportive, students, they know that, right? And they are more inclined to take risks, and it helps to build a safe and loving environment. They learn that it's okay to make mistakes because that's how we all learn and grow. I feel like when you're supportive, you are helping to meet the students' needs, not in just an academic way, but we're able to help meet their social, emotional needs as well. Many kids face stress and anxiety or challenges at home, many things that we may not even know about, and it's essential that we are supportive. I've always felt like my first job is to love them, and then everything else has a tendency to fall into place. Let's see. So, supportive teachers don't just hand students the answer. So they guide and they scaffold and they cheer them on through the struggle, and they're going to struggle, and that struggle is good for them. Supportive teachers strengthen relationships. It ensures that students feel valued and loved and respected. And I've always felt that, students that love their teachers and value them and respect them because their teacher does as well, they're more inclined, more apt to work harder for that teacher. And lastly, it helps to model empathy and compassion. And of course, these are things that we want our students to possess. Of course, they're going to make for a better world if they do. And also, teaching is so hard, and we have to help and support each other. There's a high teacher turnover rate. I know a lot of teachers don't stay beyond 5 years, and so we've got to stick together and help each other. All right, question 3. Choose 2 ways. That would be a great way to reward teacher leaders, and why. So as far as rewards, I put duty-free lunch and jeans. It's always fun to wear jeans. It makes it easier to find something to wear. One less thing to think about, in the morning or in the evening when you're getting everything together. But honestly, at the end of the day, I'm very much a words of affirmation person. And so if you just tell me like, oh my gosh, what you did, that was so helpful, thank you. Or, that lesson that you taught today was great, and I'd love for you to share it with others. Or, hey, thank you for working the gate at the football game. You didn't have to do that. It was after hours, little things like that. I just love those words of affirmation. And I don't like the words of affirmation in front of like a large group. So I don't want someone to get on like the microphone and tell everyone and I don't like that. I like it in private or around a few people, but definitely words of affirmation. I'm easy, I think. Not that every teacher feels that way. And I don't blame them for liking to get these sweatshirts that we get and duty-free lunch and gift cards. But I'm just a words of affirmation person. All right, and last but not least, how important is it to have a good working relationship with the principal? Why? I feel like it has a direct impact on school climate and school culture. A good relationship with your principal means that you have someone in your corner. Principals who know and trust their teachers or are more likely to advocate for them. Honestly, this is something that I've struggled with lately, and so I brought it to my principal yesterday. I had a private meeting with him. Actually, my teammates were in there as well to help support me. I basically told him how I felt as far as I didn't feel like he was really present, and there were times when I asked for help and I didn't get it, or that I worked a basketball game or worked a softball game and he'd walk right past me and didn't say anything, and so that bothered me a little bit, and so I went and talked to him about it, and things have been so different lately. And by lately, I mean like just one day, because I told him, I talked to him yesterday, but today was so great. I don't think I've ever seen him or the other administrators as much as I have today. He came in my classroom and he watched me teach. And then, during planning today, he told me how great I did and how impressed he was. He sent a staff email thanking all of us for everything that we do. So it was a great day, and I was really nervous to have that conversation, but I'm so thankful I did, and I hope that this change that I've noticed and witnessed today, I hope he remains consistent with it, because today was a good day. So once again, I feel like it's so important to have that working relationship, that positive relationship with the principal. It helps build morale, helps to reduce burnout, and overall it just makes the school a better place to work and to learn. All right, thank you.